talking. So any questions you have along the way, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat, and Cheryl will be the first person who sees it, and Cheryl will probably be able to answer every single possible question under the sun about education. Cheryl knows as much or more about the courses than we do, but of course we will also pick up any questions that are there that you might want to ask us along the way if you have particular questions. So without any further ado, let me just give you a quick introduction to the purpose of what it is that we're here to do this evening. So we are here to give you a bit of an introduction to Torrens University, what Torrens is all about, what makes Torrens a little bit different from most of your standard universities. We'll talk about our education courses, and I should note that this session is very much targeted at those people who aren't already enrolled. If you are already enrolled and you're here to find out a little bit more, that's great too, but you will probably get some of the same information that you would have had in the application process, but that's fine. And then you'll hear a little more about what makes us different, and you'll also have the opportunity to ask any questions that you have. And so let's get started with that. Now, I should say that as we go along, we will present information about the courses, so on and so forth. If you have questions, pop those in the chat at the bottom at any time. It's actually quite useful if those questions are kind of connected to the sorts of things that we're talking about. So if you have a question about a particular course while we're talking about that course, that's a good time to ask that question. But if you have general questions, you can pop them up along the way, or at the end of the session, we'll make sure there's plenty of time left for questions. Now, we should be all finished by 7 o'clock AEST, so plenty of time, and we'll present through and make sure we've got time left at the end for your questions. But first of all, we'd like to know just a little bit about you. So this is an opportunity for you to now practice using that chat function. So can you please use the chat and type a quick response to these questions? I can see Geraldine is already typing, which is fantastic. So you can see the questions. It's over to you. We haven't quite solved the having thinking music conundrum at this stage, so you'll have to type in silence, I'm afraid, but now's your chance. So let us know why you're here. Let us know up front if there's anything in particular that you're hoping to find out from us tonight. So I can see Kyla and Leah are already writing. Geraldine's writing as well. That's great. Use this time. Don't feel like you can't type. Don't be worried about what might come up. Just put it in the box. So welcome, Kyla. Gone first. That's worth extra brownie points. So Kyla's looking at the grad cert in special ed as it aligns with future and current careers. So that's great, Kyla. And we're really proud of our special education courses. So we'll make sure that we have plenty of time to talk about those and any questions you might have along the way. Geraldine is interested in how online learning works and if it would be easy to fit it around family and work. Geraldine, we have actually anticipated those questions as well. So we'll make sure that we touch on that as we work through. Elaine, ex-special needs teacher, but haven't taught for 23 years, interested in returning to the teaching profession. That's fantastic news, Elaine, and there's definitely lots of scope for that in the courses that we offer. Leah is looking for some online education for PD points. Not sure what's there. By the end of this session, Leah, you will know all about all of the courses that we offer and lots of different options that might be available. You might be particularly interested in the short courses that Mick will talk about in a little while. So Simone wants to know about the special education courses. Again, got that, no problem. And you'll see already that Cheryl's getting in there. Cheryl's amazingly proactive, and so as soon as we finish the session, you'll get lots of follow-up from Cheryl. So Cheryl will make sure if you're interested, you get the course brochures for more information about specific courses and those sorts of things. So I'll just give people, I know Holly, you're typing, Sam's typing as well. So just another few seconds for people to have the opportunity to finish what they're typing. Hello, Holly. So Holly's a primary school teacher, has worked with and is working with students who have ASD and considering some of the grad certs. We have a pathway just for you. Well, not just for you, but for people in your situation, Holly, and Emma will take you through that and what that looks like and how we can work you through the special ed courses. And certainly that's a great way to start with a grad cert and then moving into the masters from that. So that's great. Welcome. And Rita, interested in working with and learning more about helping children with autism. So quite a strong interest tonight in the special education field, which is fantastic. And as I said, we're really proud of that suite of courses that we offer, and I'll make sure we've got plenty of time to work through those today. So Sam, feel free to keep typing. We'll we'll make sure we pick up your introduction when you have a chance to finish that sentence. Let me tell you first off just a little bit about Torrens University. So I don't want to spend too much time on this, but you can see there is a global map up there, and you can see the orange is where Laureate University has camp. Torrens is obviously part of the Laureate network of universities, and that network is comprised of over 60 universities across 20 countries and over 1 million students around the world. So Laureate is a massive global network, and Torrens is a really important part of that Laureate network. So we are truly an international organisation. Along with being international and having the kind of global connections, and I think it's important to note, by the way, that although we're global, all of our courses that we offer are written in Australia, very much with the Australian education scenario in mind, and so you are getting an internationally informed but locally relevant qualification. So some of the key things to think about with Torrens courses and education in particular, study with us is actually really flexible. So almost all of the education courses that we offer are offered in fully online mode, which means you've got a lot more flexibility about when you will engage. And for those of you who are working as teachers and interested in how you can fit online study around that, this sort of course is actually really flexible and designed for you. So you've got a lot more flexibility. We do run a 12-week trimester, and we do ask that you participate on a weekly basis, so you can't just say, well, I'll just leave it all until October and I'll do it all then. You do need to participate because we have lots of interaction in our online subjects. And so that's a really important thing to be aware of, that flexibility. We offer a trimester system, so that does mean that you can accelerate as well, or you can finish your course a little more quickly, or you can take a slightly smaller load each trimester and keep working through that way. So Sam's looking at economics. We aren't really going to be talking about economics tonight, Sam. This is specifically about our education suite of courses, but you never know what you might learn along the way. And so the other thing to know is that we aren't just online. So we have education courses that are online, but we do also have on-campus courses. And the really nice thing about us is that we have campuses up and down most of the different parts of Australia. So we've got campuses in Adelaide, Melbourne, where we're all located, Sydney, Brisbane, all over the place. And so you're part of that network. So even if you're studying online, but you happen to live in South Australia, you can walk into our Adelaide campuses and work on those campuses just like a student who studies there in a face-to-face course. The other key thing about us is we're really committed to our classes, and we're really committed to knowing our students. We don't want to have a series of numbers. We want to have people who we work with and we know what you're about and what you're interested in. So we don't want thousands of students. We want to offer a really high quality experience for a smaller class size and a smaller group of students. So we will know you. We'll know what you're interested in, and Tony will talk more about her role in that a little later in the session, and we're really proud of that point of difference for us. So that's just a little bit in terms of an introduction to Torrens, and Shari's just said tertiary teacher, have a grade cert in education, also a social worker qualified. Obviously you've done the Autism MOOC, which is fantastic, and interested in masters. By the end of tonight, you will know the full range of options. So it's great that you've come to this session with an open mind, and you'll definitely get lots of information about our courses along the way. Welcome. So first thing to note about our education suite before we go into all of the details is it's important to be really clear that none of the courses that we offer are initial teacher education courses. So what that means is that if you aren't already a teacher and suited and able to work in Australian schools, none of our courses will qualify you to do that. So what we're about is providing further education, or providing courses that are in education related fields but aren't necessarily about qualifying to be teachers. So they're for people who want to improve their own practice, they're for teachers who want to improve schools, deputy principals who want to take that next step, principals who want to consolidate their work in leadership, people who are seeking an education that's going to assist them to work in a school or a student-related field. We'll talk more about that later, but I just wanted to be really clear up front, we don't do initial teacher education courses at this stage. What we do are two types of offerings. Sometimes we have a third. We don't have any coming up in the near future, so for now we'll just focus on these two, and they are short courses and award courses. Award doesn't mean a prize, unfortunately, but it does mean a formal qualification, like a graduate certificate or a master's or something like that. We'll take you through both of these types of offerings, and we'll start with the short courses. Mick, I don't want to steal your thunder, so at this point what I'm going to do is hand over to Professor Mick Grimley, and Mick will tell you a little more about the short courses and what's involved and the kinds of topics you can do. Mick, over to you.
Courses, in actual fact, are single subjects, so they're full 12-week single subjects that are taken from our award courses. And we cover a number of topics within these short courses. The beauty of the short courses is that if you were to take one of our short courses and you didn't have the entry qualifications to get into one of our award courses, by successfully completing one of our short courses, then that would qualify you to enter one of our award courses, which are our grad cert, and then perhaps carry on into our master's course. So this really does open up some pathways for students who perhaps don't have entry qualifications. The courses that we've got at the moment, we have one in autism, a short course in autism, so a 12-week short course in autism, one in dyslexia, and one in mental health. So these obviously would allow you to get into things like the grad cert in autism if you didn't have any the required qualifications for that and so on. You might also choose these courses if you've just got a strong interest in that particular topic. So for instance, you might have a really strong interest in dyslexia, but not in other learning differences. So you might just take the short course to improve your skills and your knowledge about dyslexia, for instance. The other way of looking at short courses is you might take them just as a taster. So you might think, I want to do the grad cert. I'm not sure whether online learning is for me. I'm not sure whether this topic is for me. So you might just take one 12-week short course to give you a little bit of a taster before you perhaps go into the grad cert or the masters. So that's a little bit about our short courses. Obviously, if you want to find any more details about these, Shirl can help you, or you'll be available later to answer any questions. Thank you.
Fantastic, much Mick. So there's a whole range of reasons there why you might be interested in these. Leah, you said you were looking at options for getting some PD points. A short course might be exactly what you need. So it's 12 weeks. It's not that full commitment of a grad cert or a master's. It gives you a kind of a taster or an opportunity to, as Mick said, learn a little more about one of those specific fields of study. So worth looking into, and Shirl can certainly help you find those out. Thanks so much, Mick. So the next type of courses along with those short courses are our award courses, and we have a few. The good thing about these is that they tend to fall into different groups, and so we talk about different course streams that we offer here at Torrens, and essentially we have three different streams. The first stream is our special education stream, and so that encompasses a couple of different master's level courses and a whole range of grad certs, and Emma will take you through those and what's involved in those shortly. Alongside special education, we also have a couple of courses in a field that we just call teaching and learning. I'll talk to you in a little more detail about those and what's involved. And then our third, and just as exciting, some would say, you know, potentially one of those areas that is really becoming prominent along with special ed at the moment is around innovation and change. We have both a master's and a grad cert qualification in that field. So I'll talk to you a little about those as well. Now, we know from the insights that you shared with us at the start of the session that a lot of you are really interested in special education, either because you've got a connection with it, maybe you've already done one of our short courses in that field. And so without any further ado, what I'm going to do is hand over to Emma, and Emma's going to take you through that really exciting suite of courses that we have to offer. So thank you, Emma, over to you.
Thanks, Tim. So as Tim has already mentioned, we're very excited about our special education courses. Ours are considered cutting edge. No other university is running the courses quite like we are. So I'm going to take you through the details of our courses and what sits behind them. So first of all, Tim, I'll get you to, go to the next slide, thank you. So first of all, we have the special education, so Master of Special Education. So that's for teachers in mainstream schools. In fact, all of our special education courses are for teachers in mainstream schools, but of course I'll talk you through some of the other students that we attract to our courses. It's a 12-subject postgraduate qualification, and we offer what's called an innovative approach in the sense that we talk about person-first approach. So in all of our courses in special education, we put ourselves in the shoes of a person with the condition, and I'm going to talk through a few more details about that later on. So a bachelor degree or above from an Australian university in a relevant field of study in either education, counselling, psychology or other health-related disciplines will be the eligibility into this course. And I'll talk through some more details about what's actually in that course on the next slide. So you can see that in this, this slide we've got our courses that you can sort of work up toward a master's. So we have the autism stream, the mental health stream, learning differences. And then within that we have a project where it's a major project that you would apply to your context. And in terms of you might be solving a problem, you might be creating a new program. There's all sorts of ways in which that project can work. And then we have an elective where you can choose one, and that fits with one of our innovation and change courses. And we also look more broadly at other leadership electives that you can use. So in the special education, the structure, we have autism in terms of we look at the person first in autism, we look at autism across the lifespan, and we look at autism in context. And so in the coming slides, I'll talk more about what that looks like in depth. Okay, so this is Janelle. She is one of our students that has actually already completed a master's, but she chose to come to Torrens University to do another Master of Special Education because she wanted something that was cutting edge, and she felt as though she needed something more innovative so that she could apply that in her context. And she has said here, I wanted to stay up to date with educational research and practices. She'd studied 10 years ago, and I wanted to see what had changed during this time. I spent the last few years establishing new special education classes at my school. This course has the topics I wanted to learn more about, and I can apply them to my teaching straight away. I felt that there was nothing holding me back from returning to university, so I enrolled. And Janelle has really applied what she already knows about special education and really been able to innovate that in her school. And I know that because I've had the pleasure of being a part of Janelle's learning journey. Okay, so I was mentioning earlier about the Graduate Certificate of Education, and so that's our 4-subject graduate certificate. It does start with the person first approach, which those of you that have been following our autism work, you will see that we use the person first approach a lot in our communication. So the person first approach is about where we put ourselves in the shoes of the person with autism in this case, and it's about how do we solve a problem together. So typically as teachers, as parents, anyone in a support role, we're very quick to jump to a solution, but the person first approach asks us to step into the shoes and think more broadly before we solve anything too quickly. So this helps us develop unique insight to the experiences of individuals with autism, and we're proud to say that all of our autism subjects have been co-designed with the autism community. This is not just for teachers, anyone with a role or interest in supporting individuals with autism. We have a whole range of different professionals and parents that come into our courses. On to the next one, Tim. Okay, so this is our Graduate Certificate of Education in Mental Health. So it runs the same way as the Graduate Certificate of Autism. We have it's 4 subjects. We again use the person first approach. We cover subjects such as anxiety, depression and eating disorders. We look at mental health in context. So what does that look like in our own educational place of work, or what does that look like in our support role? And then we actually look at how does that look like in terms of developing a new idea or application in our schools or workplaces. And then we've got the Graduate Certificate of Education in Special Education. And this is where we go through, this might be where you're wanting a taster of all sorts of different types of special education. So this is a really interesting. I've recently got a parent that's coming through the special education graduate, and she has said that since doing the course that she's got teachers coming to her because they realise how dynamic this course is from what she's been sharing. So this again is about being able to identify areas of interest within the broader field of special education. Okay, so this one is learning differences, and this one is also very attractive when wanting to learn more about conditions such as dyslexia and a whole range of other conditions such as dyslexia, dyscalculia and ADHD. We've got industry experts that come in and teach these subjects and our courses, which means we've got relevant and up-to-date information and facilitation for our students. Again, excuse me, this is for those that are wanting to apply anything in terms of differentiation, inclusion, practices in their field. And now we have the Master of Education, Special Education Advanced, and this is a 16-subject postgraduate qualification. It is often on campus in Melbourne and Sydney, and again, it has the unique approach of understanding individuals with special education needs. The Master of Education Advanced adds another dynamic to it in the sense that we add more electives that the students can choose from, such as innovation, technology, managing people in teams, etc. There's the list there. Thank you, Tim. You can see there in the elective you can choose 5. So there's the different electives there. And I just wanted to say that some of the students that we've had that have gone through the graduate certificates or through the masters have chosen those innovation and change subjects. And it's really broadened their views in terms of how they will apply their learning and knowledge into their content. Okay, so I think this is last from me. So we've got here what our students have been saying about special education courses, in addition to what I've been mentioning earlier, is that Torrens presented itself as an institution 100% committed to higher learning that could be applied directly and meaningfully in the workplace. Now that I'm a year into my master's course, I haven't been disappointed. Almost every single reading and conversation has generated a new and exciting initiative for me to launch at work. My favourite part of study of this course is how much work its designers and facilitators have done to make it apply directly to my text. And then the last one there is Torrens based their courses on real life issues. Each module contains real life case studies and readings that touch on contemporary issues. Though extremely engaging, some content and case studies may be confronting as you look back and reflect on your own experiences, but you'll be amazed at how closely linked each mental health disorder is and how common they are. So that's one of our students from our mental health.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Emma. And I can hear in Emma's voice as she talks about those courses the great passion and enthusiasm that Emma brings to her teaching. And this is really Emma's area of interest as well and expertise. And so we're really lucky to have someone with Emma's expertise on the program team, teaching those subjects, designing those subjects, working with experts, working with people in the field, and really bringing that whole place to life. A few people in comments have indicated that you participated in our Autism MOOC, massive open online course. Those special education courses really take that to the next level. Same sort of approach, same valuing of individuals, same learning about conditions through the eyes and the experiences of people who live those conditions. And so that's a really great opportunity for us, and we're really pleased to have such a strong response to that MOOC. So I'll take you through a couple of other areas now, and we're tracking well in terms of time and making sure that we've got time for questions, but please keep them coming as we work through as well, because that's really valuable for us to know that feedback and what sorts of things are of interest to you. So the first area I'll take you through are the teaching and learning courses. That's kind of the bucket that things that don't fit neatly in one of the others goes in, but what joins all of these courses together is a really strong emphasis on practice. These are courses about being a teacher and doing what you do and taking that practice to the next level. So the first area that we offer a teaching and learning course in is reading and literacy. Now, as the title probably suggests to you, this is a really focused master's course. In a lot of traditional Master of Education courses, you'll do 4 or 5 generic subjects, and then you'll only have a couple of options where you kind of specialise and go into an area that's of interest to you. We've kind of flipped that model on its head. We've said if you know that your interest is around literacy and reading and doing that better in schools, we'll give you a whole master's course on that. And that's really where the reading and literacy course fits in. So it's all about literacy. That's the core topic. And it's about, for teachers, regardless of age or stage or what age learners you work with, if that's your interest and that's the thing you're really passionate about, this is a course that lets you learn more, take that to the next level, and really become an expert in that field. So it really is for this one for practicing teachers and those people who want to go further and be leaders in literacy, whether that's in a school, whether that's in a district, whether that's in a consultancy sort of role. This is the course for you. The admission requirements for this course, because it's designed that way and because it's quite a short master's course, only 8 subjects long, this one requires you to have 4 years of teacher training, or if you went through in the Dip Ed days, or you've got an undergraduate degree and then a Master of Teaching or a grad diploma of teaching or whatever, something that's deemed to be equivalent, that's what you need to come into this particular course. Reading and literacy is one of our oldest courses now. We've got a whole handful of graduates from that, and we're really starting to get some really good feedback about the impact of this course for their ongoing practice in schools. And so it's been a bit of a success story for us, and we're really proud of it. The other course that we offer in the teaching and learning space, and I seem to recall somebody in the group is here as a tertiary teacher. This is the course that is, maybe you've already done a grad cert, but this is our version of that sort of qualification. So this is our Graduate Certificate of Learning and Teaching. This is 4 subjects long, and the focus here is very much around higher education. But as we do with all of our courses, we like to say, what does this approach really need? Not what's been done in the past, but what does it really need? What's the best way to deal with that kind of information, that kind of learning? And we think for this course, the best way to do it is through practice. So 4 subjects, all of them are really applied. We put you in what's called a community of practice from day one, and you work and you share and you discuss ideas and you try stuff and you bring it back to that community. You share what's happening for you, and across those 4 subjects, you're building a portfolio of practice, a portfolio of innovation. And it's really about learning more about teaching through practice first. So you do, and after doing, we'll help you understand why things are happening and what's working and so on and so forth. So you get a really good introduction to higher education, but you get that through practice and through doing what you do. So admission for this, pretty straightforward. You need to be teaching. If you're working in an HE setting, you've got what you need to come into this course. And so there's a whole range of other things we can do there, but this is really designed for those people who know that higher education is your interest, it's your passion, it's your area of focus, and it'll take you to that kind of next level there. So what do students say about this? As you can see, our students like most of our courses, which is good news for us. And this is some of the things that the students said about these ones. A great platform for us to be able to learn from each other and understand the value of it. Such an awesome course. I feel stretched and invigorated and really ready to be able to face the challenges of the new year. What I've learned in this subject regarding the theories, at least a whole bunch of theories in there, will inform the approach I take within my new courses. I feel the value I bring to this area of my role is far greater as a result of this subject. Someone else said you were supported. I had a teacher who really encouraged, supported and motivated me. Super important recipe in the mix. And in the last quote here, which is specific about our learning and teaching in higher ed setting, this course is totally relevant for all lecturing staff. I wish I'd undertaken it years ago. Apart from the relevance of the course content, the simple action of being a student again allows the lecturer to gain insights into the student experience that will impact on their own lecturing practice and empathy with their students. A really great way to be a better teacher is to remember what it's like to be a learner, and we never stop learning. And this is a really great opportunity to get back into that learner mindset. But as you can see here, the sorts of things that our students in these courses emphasize is that sense of community. It's that learning with others and understanding the value of that, but it's also that challenge and that stretching and that just going back into that learner space and learning more. Mick, that's a beautiful segue. So Mick's indicated that the course that might be the next area of interest for you, Cherie, and this is the last course that we have to talk about here is our Innovation and Change suite of courses. So I'll just pick up a question there from Charles. Charles has said, do I need a teacher qualification? So Charles, it depends on which area you're interested in going into. Some yes, some no. So if you can identify if there's a specific course that we've covered that really interests you, pop the name up and Cheryl will be straight on and she'll be able to answer that for you straight away. But this area, so Innovation and Change, this is an area that we're really passionate about, and this is one of the other things along with that special education suite that really makes us different and really makes us stand out. So Innovation and Change, as you can see here, the different elements of this qualification, and we design it as an 8-subject masters. So if you do all 8 of those dot-pointed titles there, each one of those is a subject, you do all 8 of those, you get the masters. But you can enrol in just the grade cert, which is the first 4, and then at the end of that you can make a decision about whether you kind of roll on into the masters or you can just enrol in the masters up front. But again, so to get into this one, you do need to be a teacher or have a graduate certificate in education. And this takes you through a whole bunch of new ideas, new ways of thinking, new ways of doing, new ways of changing schools, new ways of thinking about practice. So we start with design thinking for education, really different approach that's very much about identifying not just how do we solve particular problems in our teaching in our schools, but how do we work out which are the right problems to solve in the first place. Innovation for education takes you on a really interesting sort of journey through looking at different kinds of innovations in the world and why they succeed and why they fail, and then thinking about what that means for you in education when you might want to be looking at making changes. Technology in education is not about what's the next big app that we should all be using or how can we teach with Minecraft. Not that those things aren't important, but it's really about being critical about the role of technology in education, and again that idea about what problems does it solve. And how might particular technologies allow me to do things that I couldn't otherwise do. Cheryl, I like Minecraft too, let me just put that out there. And then the last in that first suite is around professional learning. So it's a professional learning project. We think it's really important in all of these courses that we don't just give you the theory. You can go to another university and just get the theory. What we give you is that opportunity to blend theory with practice. And so that's where the professional learning project comes in. You've done 3 subjects now. You're bursting with all of these different ideas. This is an opportunity to put all of that together and make something and do something and put something into place in your practice. And then after you've done that professional learning project, you then roll on into the master's subjects. These are the ones around taking that and giving it just a slightly bigger frame of reference. So first is around high achieving professional, which is really an introduction to leadership and being a leader and what that means and what effective leaders do. Understanding and interpreting education data. This is one that teachers and principals tell us that all teachers and all principals should do. This one's about how do you take all of that data that comes into schools these days, test results, all of the data that's out there around students, all the data that's out there around schools. How do you chart a path through that that tells you what you need to change and if your changes are working? So that's a really important subject for us. Then you finish off with a major project at the end, 2 subjects. And that can be doing something, making a change. It can be thinking about an aspect of your practice and looking at that and taking a research approach and thinking about how you might change. Or it can be looking at the literature and putting together different ideas and coming up with a new way of thinking about an area. So that's what goes into innovation and change. I feel like it's worth taking people through that because it is so different to most of the other master's courses that are out there. It's very much about becoming a leader by leading. It's about becoming an innovator by being innovative and then reflecting on that and unpacking and showing how that all works. So this, again, is a course, it's very much a course for teachers and it's very much a course for leaders and those people looking to go into leadership roles. This is one that does require you to have an education background and to have access to a setting where you can do these things, you can make these changes. We offer this course in a cohort model as well, and this is something that we're really excited about, where if you work in a school and maybe there's a whole group of you in that school who are interested in this kind of space, come and talk to us, talk to Cheryl in the first instance about how we can wrap that together so that you all study this course in the same time, at the same time, in the same way, and where we can support you as a group. We have a group in South Australia who are working as a cohort. They come into one of our South Australian campuses once a week and they all sit there and they work on the campus. The course is fully online, so they do their material work and submit their assessments online, but they're meeting every week on the campus, discussing ideas, beaming in and talking to their lecturer as a group and doing all those sorts of things. things. So if you're interested in that kind of cohort model, because that's how you get change happening at a school. It's not just you doing this, there's a group of you working together. That's when you can make amazing changes and really transform schools. So that's innovation and change. Our students tell us they like this course as well, and this is what a student said just after the first subject. And by the way, as an aside, the first subject, Design Thinking for Education, you can do that as a short course, what Mick was talking about before, so you can do just this first one as a taster. I had my expectations exceeded with the Design Thinking for Education course. The online course videos and weekly live video conferencing were truly exceptional and reflect highly on the innovative changes Torrens University have made their offerings. So these are our students telling us that the things we say we do and what makes us different, they're experiencing that and they're seeing the benefits of that slightly different model. So just to sum up some of the things that we think make us different that we've talked about across the session, at the level of our courses, we think our courses are quite different. They're very relevant, they're very authentic, very engaging and very inclusive. So we're very flexible, we design these things for you, we think about what you're going to need and we try to design the courses in that way. And as Cheryl said, part of that relevance and authenticity, you don't often get the chance to apply what you know as a teacher in a school by sitting down and doing an exam. Thankfully, there are no exams in this course, in any of our courses, that wouldn't be relevant for the kind of learning we want you to do. So it's all very applied, it's all very experience-based. And within our course, all of our subjects are practice first. They're all experiential. They're all about learning through doing. They're all developed by experts. And as Emma's indicated, expert doesn't mean someone who's just a theoretical expert in a field. If you're the parent of a child with autism, you're an expert on autism. You're an expert on the experience of caring for and living with someone with autism. If you're someone who's worked in schools for an extended period of time, transforming practice, bringing teachers up, working with them, you're an expert on change. And there's a very good chance that you're going to find a lot in that material because they're the sort of people we've talked to help us build. So that's enough from me. I wanted to allow Tony Jones to talk to you now about another aspect of our courses that we're really excited about and something that makes us really different again, and that is the success coach role. So Tony, over to you.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks very much for that. Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm the success coach for education. This is another unique aspect to the Torrens University. Students from the start of their course right through to the end. We are industry professionals. We have experience within the field that you're studying. I've been a teacher, I've taught, and coming now as come with that industry background. So we're also certified strength development coaches. Being a strength-based organisation, we believe in developing ourselves through our strengths rather than our weaknesses. So as a success coach, I work with students for personal and professional development as well. My role is purely dedicated to my students' successes, and that is very tailored to each student. Everybody wants to achieve different things, go out call and with us that they stay on track and focused on that goal. Tim, could you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So as mentioned before, the coaches are here to help students progress through their course. The online environment can be a tricky one, especially for teachers who are working full-time. They do, there is a challenge of balancing full-time work, family and studying, and I coach through that challenge. So a lot of the times it might be looking at different strategies to help with the managing of your time, or it might be looking at motivation, how to increase motivation levels, might plan your study, There's all sorts of different strategies that we use to that balance, not feel overwhelmed, not feel stressed. We're very passionate about our courses, and we want students to get as much as they can from them. And sometimes, well, what my role is there to support students to make sure. Also very focused on your career. A lot of our students are focused on moving into leadership. That's something that I can help with coaching around that transition. How do you transition into leadership? What sort of things should you be doing now in preparation for that? I've coached students for interviews. I've coached students around resume, how to prepare for a resume or prepare for an interview in the industry to provide the best opportunity for you in your career. Can you flip the next slide, please? Thanks, Tim. So these are the sort of things that students will come to us to talk to about their experience. Again, being online is great to have that person that you connect with that's separate from your lecturer. I have a lot of students that will contact me midway through each trimester to just say, motivation lapping, can you give me a little boost? And we'll get on the phone and we'll do some coaching around that. I do a lot of coaching around strengths as well. This is something about developing everybody's potential. Tim, can you go to the next one, please? So why do we have this? Well, we really do believe somebody needs someone that can provide a new perspective, help them develop personally and professionally. And this is the same as what we're doing. So we're here to develop in terms of academic, career and personal. So that's why we have coaches. And a lot of our students love this support, and we've got some great feedback. You can put it to the next slide that will share testimonies. Students find that gets to know, contact me at any stage, feel supported, they don't feel isolated. I get them, I've been that feeling, so I'm just that person that can help bring perspective and refocus onto your goal. So this is our point of difference at Torrens University, and it's support that I've never seen there, and I think that it really does, it really rounds up the experience. Questions at the end if there's any questions too.
Thanks, Tony. We had a little bit of difficulty there with your connection. You were sort of dropping in and out a little bit, but hey, that's life, right? I mean, and that's what it's about when you're working in this kind of environment. But I think the slides are pretty clear, and we could hear your enthusiasm again coming through. And as you say, you know, there's plenty of opportunity for people to follow up. But I think the take-home message there around the success coach is you're there to support, you know, and you're there to provide that other kind of support that you wouldn't generally find. It's around all aspects of that experience of being a student and achieving success and transitioning. And the feedback we get on what Tony does is absolutely amazing. And I think the fact that, Tony, you are a teacher, you're also somebody who's, you know, studied online, you're also somebody who's mixing work with a very busy life and all of those sorts of things, so you understand what it's like for the students and you can help them through that experience from multiple dimensions. Fair summary, would you say? I can see Tony nodding. So thank you very much. And that's the end of what we wanted to talk to you about. So this is now your time. We still have 12 minutes left in the session. So if you have questions, if there's something you were hoping to hear about tonight that we haven't yet covered, if there's something we've said that you would like us to unpack or explore further, if there's particular points that you want to bring up, now's your time. So please type away. And as you type, we'll pick up those questions and explore them. So Johanna's typing, Elaine's typing, type away, that's great. So Charles has said, will all the students get a success coach? That's very unique. Charles, absolutely. That's something that Laureate is amazingly committed to. And we're very lucky in education that we have Tony. And so, yes, absolutely. Every student studying with us has access to a success coach. Elaine's question, are there set dates for each course, or can courses be started at any time? Elaine, we work on a trimester model, so we have 3 intakes a year. We have one in February, we have another one in June, and we have another one in September. And so that's sort of our intake times. So there's one that is starting in September. So if you're at all interested, you want to explore that, you want to tease that out further and think about what that might mean for you, Cheryl can have that conversation with you about where to from here. But, you know, we go again in February, we go again in June. So, yeah, but we do that because we think it's really important that you study as part of a cohort, and because our courses involve live sessions. So not this exact platform, but as you work through, if you're an online student, you'll be engaging in conversations in real time with students. You'll be engaging online, and you'll be working in a variety of different modes and formats. So you need to feel like part of a class to be able to do that. And you can see there, thanks Cheryl, so 17th of September is our next intake. The one after that is 25th of February, and there's a link there where you can go to, and that's kept up to date fairly regularly with the key dates. But it is certainly not too late if you're thinking September. We've got plenty of time to have those conversations and help you work out which course might be the right one for you. Johanna's interested in the Master of Education, Special Education. Does it include practical experience? Emma, over to you.
Sorry, Tim, where's the question? I'm interested in Master Education, especially education. Does it include practical experience? Well, in terms of going out into a school or into some sort of practical form, the answer is no. We don't go out into schools or classrooms. What we do is we bring that into our classroom. So it's not in terms of an education degree where you would get the qualification to teach in a school as such, in terms of a special education school. This is really for teachers that are wanting to upskill in their mainstream workplace, or of course, as I said, it's for a whole range of people that are interested in special education. In short, no, we don't go out into onto practicals, but we do have obviously the industry and what word am I searching for, Tim? It's certainly industry focused.
Yeah, I think you covered it. Thank you. Anything special that I like to throw to Emma to answer those ones. But there was a question there, do we have a Masters in Autism from Chari? What I want to highlight is in our Master of Education, Special Education, you'll see here that we've grouped it in these lovely colours, and the blue colour is autism. So in that Master of Education, you would, let's see, oh, I can draw, excellent. You have these autism subjects here. That gives you a graduate certificate in autism, but we don't have a master's course in autism as such. It's developed as part of this overall master's suite. So there's the grad cert in autism, but then to go to masters, we felt it was important to build out a broader kind of experience. So the autism course sits within that master's course at the master's level. So more questions. This is fantastic. This is what we're here for. So Holly, you're very welcome. As a hypothetical, were you to complete a grad cert in one of the 3 areas, if you decided to take on a master's following that, would it have to be in the same area as the grad cert? So if you did a master's, If you did a special ed grad cert, would you have to follow the Master's Special Ed too, or could you do one of the others like teaching and learning? That is an outstanding question, Holly. The answer is it depends. So some of our course structures are a little more flexible than others. So if you remember in the Master's Suite in Special Ed, for instance, there is an elective built into that. And the electives you can do can come from the Innovation and Change Suite. So if you'd done a grad cert innovation, for instance, and you wanted to then go into the Masters of Education Special Education, if you went into the advanced version, you would get your whole grad cert basically credited there towards this overall masters. But other courses have different kinds of structures. So Innovation and Change has 0 electives. So in that sense, it doesn't really articulate from special ed. Now, we would certainly use those special eds as a pathway to entry. We might be able to look at things like professional learning project, for instance. So it kind of depends on the particular path that you've taken. So the answer is not yes, but it's not no either. So it sort of depends on the pathway you want to take and the direction you want to travel. It's not impossible to move between them, but it depends on which way you want to move. Probably the best way to answer that. I know that's a very vague and it all depends answer, but we do have flexibility, some more than others is probably the short answer for that one. More questions, keep them coming. We've got 6 minutes. That's time for 6 more questions. And yeah, and as Cheryl and Mick have both said there, look, we're very happy to have conversations with you. This is not the end of the line in terms of talking with us. This is us meeting you for the first time, but we're very keen to continue these conversations. So if you're not quite sure where you might want to go, if you're not quite sure which course might be right for you, if you think I want to do this and then this, have that conversation. Cheryl's your first port of call for everything to do with the courses that we've talked about tonight. But Cheryl, and we talk with Cheryl all the time, and Cheryl is absolutely part of the education team. And so anything that Cheryl can't help you with, or anything that she thinks might be good to loop us in, absolutely, we'll continue these conversations beyond. Geraldine, that's great, really pleased. So Geraldine wrote that you didn't have a question but found this all very interesting. So that's great, that's what we're here for, to give you that bit more information. So that's good. Charles, super useful for teachers and educators. Charles, that's what we're all about. When we set out to start this really interesting suite of courses, we said not what's everyone else doing, but what's everyone else not doing, and how can we match what we want to offer to what schools tell us they need. And that's where all of these courses have come from us listening to the profession and where they say they need further education. And you can see there, Cheryl's already onto it, Charles, so Cheryl will be more than happy to continue that conversation about where to from here, what might best suit where you want to go. This is great. You're a really engaged group this time. That's fantastic. It's really good. I mean, that's what we're here for, to help you find out what's best for you. Rita is starting grad cert in September. That's fantastic. We'll be really excited to have you joining our cohort, and we look forward to bringing you in. And it'll build really nicely on the work you've done before, Rita. I'm really confident about that. And Elaine, yeah, absolutely, great time to come back into teaching. And into special education, and our special education it's not special education in special schools. This is about including all students in all schools, in all classrooms, for all teachers, and it's very much what we're passionate about. That this is something that all teachers are learning about and seeking more information about, and that's what we're here to provide. We have a couple of minutes left, so any more questions? Anything that you're still working through and thinking about? I can see Johanna is typing a question now. That's great. Karen, you haven't posted any questions yet. Is there anything we can help you with? Any questions you might have? Renata, same, any questions? Anything you were hoping to hear about that maybe we haven't covered yet? We've still got time. people are still thinking. Emma, any final words, any take-home messages, anything you'd like people to leave this session understanding about education and Torrens?
I just wanted to say thank you for everyone that's attended, and I'm really excited that we've got so many that are interested in special education. We are proud of our courses, and I'm excited that we can share more about them with you.
Thank you so much, Emma. Mick, any final words? Anything you'd like to add? No, Mick's happy. Tony, any final? Sorry, Mick, you must have been a delay there. Sorry, carry on.
Okay. Just feel free to continue this conversation. I mean, Shirl is always around to talk to you. And obviously, you know, if there are things that you think about afterwards, come back to us, you know, and if there are other pathways you're looking at, come back to us and we'll help wherever we can. So it's great to see everybody here.
Fantastic, much, Mick. And the other point that we should make, we don't cover this in the webinar, but we do also have research high degree options. So if you've already done study and you were thinking more what's next at a level beyond masters, talk to us about that too. We have a number of PhD students currently active. We have research masters students currently active as well. And we're always looking for new students who are interested in new ideas and you know, pushing the envelope in terms of where education is going. So we didn't talk about it tonight, but don't let that stop you from reaching out to us. And as both Mick and Shirl have said, this is the start of the conversation with us, so we look forward to carrying that on further with you. Tony, I'm not sure if you have any final thoughts you'd like to share. We could try your internet connection again. We'll cross our fingers and our toes. No, I think Tony's internet connection is not going to work for us. Nope, this evening, unfortunately. Never mind. So thanks, everyone. It was a really great session, really great to get to talk to you. A number of you have already signed up, or you're thinking about signing up, or you're thinking next year might be the time. That's fantastic, but don't let a question stop you from talking to us. So we'd love to hear
good,
more.
thanks, Tim.
Great. So yeah, we'd love to hear more from you. Don't be strangers.
I look forward to starting in September.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Mick. Thanks, Emma. And thanks, Shirl, for your amazing support with the chat. And this is where, at this point, we really hand over to Shirl. So Shirl will follow up with all of you and is always amazingly thorough in doing that. So your next step will be contact with Shirl. And we look forward to meeting all of you in our courses in September or at some stage in the future. Thanks, everyone. Good night.